Hello students! Today I'm going to talk about nutrition and athletes and how closely connected they are together. My name is Kaia and I'm from Norway. I have a master's degree in public health science and a bachelor's degree in public health nutrition. In my current line of work, I am a nutritional counselor at a rehabilitation center where I work with a variety of people. And I also have worked as a teacher, as a speaker at different sporting events or different clubs. But I've also worked with people with mental health illness, etc. So it's a very varied type of education, which is nice. The route into my job is on the background of both my education, but also that I played handball myself, which makes me maybe more interested in sports and diet and nutrition. But however, just knowing a little bit about everything is very interesting. I wanted to work with nutrition because I started off in culinary school, where I was more interested in what the food contained and what it does to us, both in a good and a bad way. And I wanted to help those who struggle with food and diets, as well as work alongside athletes who want to perform the best as they can. Because food and sports are very closely connected, as being good in a sport is not all about the physical strength and or endurance. It's because without the proper diet, our bodies won't develop as they should. And in that way, our bodies maybe won't be as good as it can when we need, as in a competition. But it's also very important as an athlete to make sure that your everyday diet is as good as it can, so that our bodies also develop as it should in terms of doing the different exercises that we need to make sure that we get better in the sports that we do. To work with athletes, you have to have the knowledge about how our bodies work, and in the different ways of the metabolisms that we have, and very intertwined in terms of something called ATP and etc. But you also need to know about the different nutrients and the foods that affect our bodies, and also how important it is to have a balanced diet in your everyday life. As a person working alongside athletes, you should be very open-minded. You also need to enjoy talking to others and yourself at times, and you need to be very patient. You also need to enjoy nitpicking, as we call it, because you need to be critical, because often people, they under or overestimate what they eat. And you have to be very curious in terms of what foods and drinks people eat, because eating is a very personal thing to do, of course, because you have to do it every day, but it's very complex. And for athletes who needs to perform their best and needs to build their bodies slightly different than everyone else, you need to be to make sure that what they tell you is true. One of the things that we do when we talk to different athletes is that we need to make sure that they give us some detailed information on what kind of foods they usually eat. And a part of how we do that is to make sure that they fill out this diary. It's called a 24-hour recall. It's slightly complex, but I can show you just briefly how it's done. For every time you fill this out, there is some slides with pictures of different foods, and we have to be very careful to update that as soon as possible, because there's always new challenges or new foods and etc. into the food market, so we need to update them. But however, the point with this diary is that the athletes have to fill in quite a few forms throughout a 24-hour period where they fill out, let's say, okay, how many pork chops have you had? And at what time did you have them? Or did you have different kinds of fish? What kind of sides did you have with that? Etc. And so just desserts and puddings, etc. So this is quite complex, but you can also do it, which it makes it actually the most accurate one. So it's a good way to do it. It takes some time, but it's very important. There's also another way to do it, which is slightly easier. However, it's also very important for them to be accurate. Is something called weight registration, where it's slightly less complex than this one, but you still have to write what you had and also the weight of it. This might sound a little bit strange and a little bit too in a way dangerous, because then you make the athletes think more about what kinds of foods and how much they eat, but at the same time it's a very important step to make sure that we figure out what kinds of foods the athletes eat, what they enjoy, and maybe if there is something that they should improve, or maybe if it's good enough. So it's very important that, even like I said, it's kind of a nitpicking job, because you have to make sure that the athletes do what they are required to. But at the same time, it's, from what I've experienced, it's quite fun. So that's one of the tasks that we give our athletes in terms of trying to figure out what kind of diet and dietary needs they have. So the thing is that I tried to figure out what kind of challenge I could set to you. Sarah, she wants to become a professional wrestler, which means that she needs both the stamina and the strength. So my question to you is, which kinds of foods do you think Sarah should eat? And your answer, please comment below. Thank you.